Okay. All right. I see a couple people still are. Never mind. I muted you. You're good. Okay. So, you guys, we have on our call today Kacia Fitzgerald, and we had a couple of our leaders go to the new leadership conference last year, and they have been just like oohing and awing over Kacia basically ever since they went to that and got to hear her speak. And so I thought, man, it is time to like get her on a call, let her talk to our team, and just to like get her energy and to get to experience her and her passion for what we get to do. So she is actually started coaching in 2014. And left the corporate world. She was working at Google actually, and left in April of 2015. Currently lives in San Diego with her fiance. I'm going to say this, hopefully I say it correctly, Sina. You'll have to correct me if I'm not, and dog Lizzie. Her team is actually a 10-star diamond team in her first business center and a 3-star diamond team in her second business center, which is a huge deal. Also a 3-time elite team, and a freaking boss because she hit the Millionaire Club, which basically means that in your entire earnings of Beachbody, you have earned $1 million, and she hit that in 2018, which if you're doing the math, that's like 4 years after starting, which is crazy, 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 crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and let her chat. I've got a notebook, paper, whatever you guys need to take notes. So go ahead and do that, and you are free to chat. I lost you though.
Yay! Can you
There
hear
you
me and see me?
Yeah.
Hi, guys! I'm so excited to be here. Megan, thank you for the intro, and I'm excited just to get to see so many faces. And I have a goal of just wanting to add as much value as I possibly can to you in any way tonight on this call. So I want to give you a little bit more like of my story and a couple of things that I've learned along the way that I think could be really helpful. But then if we're cool with it, like I'm down to do Q&A. I'm the most like open book of all open books that I could possibly be, but I want to make sure I give you guys good, like juicy stuff that will help you in your business because I'm so freaking passionate about this opportunity and what it can do for you as a person, and then the types of choices that it can give you as you learn and evolve by, jumping into this business and really doing it. So like Megan mentioned, my name's Kacia Fitzgerald. I currently live in San Diego. I'm originally from Seattle. My last job in the corporate world was in corporate recruiting. So my background's actually in IT project management and corporate recruiting, completely unrelated to what I do now, obviously. But I started coaching in January of 2014, completely on the side. And I actually was someone who wasn't in a situation where I had a major weight loss journey. I didn't have a bunch of debt. My back was not against the wall. I didn't have to make this work. I had a unique story, and that it's different from a lot of stories that are highlighted often through like national wake-up calls or even through people that speak at summit or different events, because I didn't think that my story was good enough to be a powerful story. I don't know if like, for those of you guys that I can see, can anyone relate to that where you're like, but like, I don't know, I don't have this crazy story. For me, my direct upline coach in this business, love her so freaking much, but she was a stay-at-home mom of 3, had a crazy story of like some mental health issues in her past. She had filed for bankruptcy. Above her was someone else that was in a really tough financial situation. And above him was Lindsay Matway, who, if you don't know who Lindsay Matway is, she's has a crazy, amazing story of what she's done. And I was looking at all these people that were, within my upline, like my coach and my grandpa coach and my great grandma coach or whatever. And I was like, dang, like if I had a story like that, I'm sure that I could be really successful in this business, but like, I don't have a story. So maybe this will just be a fun side thing for me. So I started doing this in January of 2014, completely on the side. I just wanted more fulfillment in my life. I really wasn't looking for this to be a full-time job. In fact, because of my story, I didn't think that this ever would be a full-time thing for me. And I also didn't really see the need for it to be a full-time thing because I had a job that I loved and I'd gone to school and, did the whole like go to school, get the job, climb the corporate ladder. That's what I was doing. And I thought that that was what I was supposed to do. And I wasn't really that unhappy. I actually had great managers. I had great coworkers. I had great friends outside of Beachbody. Like actually things were really pretty good for me. But I had this gut feeling that I wanted, quote unquote, more in my life. And I thought that I had more that I could give in terms of like to other people, but also I wanted more fulfillment. So the reason why I tell you all of that, and it makes it sound like, oh, like you have this great life. I did. But I think a lot of times we're looking for ourselves, like we need to have this crazy elaborate story, or we need to have this crazy transformation, or we write off other people not wanting to join us because we think that they have it all together, right? But I mean, I worked at my dream company when I started building this business. Like Google was like a dream company to work at, and I still wanted to build a business like this because what it couldn't provide me was the fulfillment that comes from saying, hey, like, Kacia, thank you for inviting me to be part of this. It changed my life. It helped me in my marriage. It helped me feel so much more excited about my life. Even though I worked with software engineers and whatever, none of them were coming up to me and saying, Kacia, like, you changed my entire life. Like, now I have a better relationship with my kids. Like, you know, I wasn't doing that in my corporate job. So the reason why I bring that up, like I said, is two things. If you don't see your story represented, maybe that's your signal that you should be the representation. Okay. Number two is don't write off anyone because you don't know what their story is. You don't know why this might serve them. So when you're in this position where you're inviting people to join you, I think it's really powerful to just sit down and really think of all of the reasons that someone might want to do this, because not everyone's going to come in for the same reason that you came in. Not everyone is going to connect with every part of your story, but maybe there are certain reasons that you can start to showcase of why you are a coach, why this matters to you, and why this could serve someone else. And if you can't make a list of 10 reasons, you're going to struggle with this business no matter how many tangible things that I give you. But if you sit down and you think, how would my life be different if I didn't have coaching? And this I did day one, not when I had earned over $1 million with Beachbody, or spoke on this stage or did all that. Screw all the Beachbody crap, honestly. I don't really care about all the accolades. What I care about is day one, this business was successful for me before I ever made $1, because it was the first time that I did something that was against the grain, that felt good to me, that didn't follow this path of what I thought I should be doing, right? So it helped me straight out the gates. I put myself out there on social media and was like, I'm doing this thing, didn't have a six-pack abs, didn't have a great story, didn't know how to post on social media, felt really awkward, actually didn't connect with my upline story or anyone on that team really. I was like, I'm just going to go do my own thing and I'm going to try and figure out how to be Kacia. It served me day one, even if I would have never made $1 from this. So as you're starting to think about this opportunity and you're inviting people to be, in your challenge groups or whatever it is, sitting down and actually realizing there's a lot of reasons that someone might be compelled to do this, for friendships, for community, for a side income. Not everyone's goal is to be a full-time Beachbody coach, right? That's not everyone's goal. Even though those were all of my upline's goals, I was drawn to this business because I really just wanted more fulfillment. That was it, right? It happened to result in the fact that I fell in love with this business and I put a lot of heart and a lot of work into it to build it to what it is now. But that wasn't what drew me in, okay? So I think it's really important that we also get really intentional about why it is that we're actually presenting this opportunity before we worry so much about what's the end goal, what's the next step, what's the Beachbody milestone. It's like, know why you're doing this. For you, know what your goal is, because as humans, we love progress. We need to work towards something so that we can measure it, so we can also give ourselves opportunity to build confidence in pursuit of the goal, right? Like, we don't have a goal and we're just kind of wandering around. We're not giving ourselves the opportunity to get closer to that goal and get a confidence deposit every single time that we show up. And guess how this business gets easier? I can tell you this from being in it for, almost 6 years, is it gets easier when you build more confidence. And it gets easier every single time that you get a message from someone that says, because of you, my life's changed. When you get those messages, all of a sudden you don't worry what like Aunt Sally Sue at like Thanksgiving has to say about your, social media business. You don't care because you've got this proof and confidence from how much you're serving people. So as quickly as you can get more evidence and more proof internally for yourself, and as quickly as you can build up that confidence that comes from consistently putting yourself out there, it gets easier. I promise you that. That doesn't mean things won't go wrong. Our team has qualified for the highest rank in the company and dropped it during qualification. I've had all sorts of things go wrong. Coaches quit that I would have never expected. Life happens. But what keeps me in it and what keeps me so joy filled in pursuit of every goal and showing up consistently and hitting Success Club every single month since January of 2014 without missing a month, despite all the changes and things in my life, is because I'm so rooted in falling in love with the process of building this business, not what the process could produce. And I'm so rooted in making sure that I know why I'm actually doing this business. And I think a lot of times we think about like, what's that big vision why, right? Like what's the why that's like, you know, what could this do for your family? What could this do for your future? All of that stuff. That stuff's important. But truthfully, why is this helping you like literally right now? Because when I started this, I was working with predominantly males who were 20 years older than me. And if you haven't picked up on my personality yet, it's kind of like, wow, I'm a little bit wild, which means that I had to be really buttoned up in my corporate job. Totally fine. But that wasn't me. And I honestly was at a stage in my life at the time I was 25 years old. And I was like, what if this business is something where I just learn how to get good at being me? That was one of my goals when I became a Beachbody coach, was I'm going to put myself out there and I'm just going to get good at being myself. So that's why I can tell you guys, day one, this business worked out for me, day one, before I ever made $1, because I did something outside my comfort zone and I proved to myself that I could. And it was my first step towards getting really, really intentional about being me, which no matter how this would have played out for the long haul, it was still moving in the right direction. And I was building up a skill set that was going to serve me no matter what I did. It just happened to be that I felt really in love with this and I saw what this could turn into, right? So if you don't know why this is serving you as a person, regardless of what Beachbody ranks or regardless of Success Club, all of those things are important, right? Because they're tangible and it's really helpful to have tangible goals that you can work towards, so you can measure, so you can build confidence, so you can, you know, it's a business. You want to make sure that you can actually measure things. But I think it's really important that you ask yourself, what is it that I'm going, like, what can I win at right now? What's my goal for myself as a person? If you feel like maybe you're really introverted or shy, great. This business can help you get better at putting yourself out there. That's a great skill set that's going to serve you in every single aspect of your life. You feel like you're like kind of robotic or awkward on like messages to people or whatever, or connecting with new people. Great. So was I. I was really awkward, but guess what's cool about it? You get to learn that skill set. Say you want to speak, say you want to write, say you want to start a blog, say you want to impact a certain demographic of people. This business, what's required to build this business, like adding people to your network and building those connections, that's going to serve you for other things you're going to do in addition. So while you're building your business and building your confidence, let your brain go just a little bit to these other things that it's going to help you with in pursuit of your Beachbody goals, like Diamond, like Elite, like your first $1,000 week, $5,000 week, whatever your goals are, right? Those are all amazing things that Beachbody can provide. But in pursuit of those goals, you're still going to win along the way. You know what I mean? You guys with me? Okay, cool. I like head nods. So I want to give you a couple of things that worked really well for me tangibly when I was building my business. So I told you guys I started my first challenge group when I was in January of 2014, when I was building this business alongside of a full-time job that I loved. But here's what I did. Straight out the gates, I treated this like a business, even though I never knew the potential of what it could be. And honestly, I didn't really think I even wanted it to ever be a full-time job. But I treated it like a business. So every single Sunday night, this is when I had no idea what I was doing either. I don't know why I did this, but it worked out really well. Every Sunday night, I would sit down and I would look at my week ahead. And I decided that I was going to treat this like a business, which means like a business has a marketing plan, right? And I'm not like a super like strategic person about marketing, but I would sit down on Sunday nights and I would be like, okay, what are like some things that I want to post about this week? I want to be intentional about mapping out my week. So I would sit down on Sunday nights. I would say, Monday, I'm going to post something motivational. Tuesday, I'm going to talk about like food. Wednesday, I'm going to talk about whatever. I had 5 different areas that I would talk about, and I would rotate through those topics. And then what I did is I would block out, I would look at my week proactively, and I would say, when can I work on my business? What are a couple of chunks of time that I can work on my business and actually build my business? And then I got accountability from people that mattered to me. So whether you're a brand new coach and you're just starting this business, you can do that now, and it helps you build up that skill set. And if you're a coach who's been here for a while, having that intentionality and that buy-in from people that are around you of how you're going to show up in your business is so important. It helps so freaking much. And a lot of times, and if you've been coaching for a while and you've ever mentored another coach, what you're going to hear is oh, my significant other doesn't support me. You're going to hear that at some point, or maybe you feel that way right now. If that's you, or if that's a coach that you're mentoring, here's the thing to think about. If a significant other doesn't support you, have you actually had a conversation with that person about why this business matters to you? And have you made a plan that you've then told them about, that you've then actually stuck to? Because if you haven't done those things, then it's on you, right? And I tell coaches this all the time where they're like, oh, Kacia, like, I just wish that my husband would get it. And like, that's what's holding me back. I feel like I could really blow this business up if my husband just supported me. I'm like, okay, Sarah, tell me about your husband. Tell me about the conversation with your husband. Like, how did that go? How did you like explain this business to him? She's like, well, I mean, I didn't really talk to him about it, but like, I just know this isn't really his thing. Like, he's not really like into like things like this. I'm like, homegirl, like, I'm all about female empowerment, but that's on you. You didn't even have that conversation. You didn't even give him the opportunity to support you, or you didn't tell him what support looks like to you. So I think there's a lot of ownership that we can take in this business early, straight out the gates. If you're a brand new coach, set the intentions, because when people see that you're showing up and that you've decided that this is important to you, then they're going to acknowledge that, and they're so much more likely to be supportive if they, number one, know that you are doing this and you're serious about it, and number two, they understand why it matters to you, and number three, if they're important to you, they know what supporting you looks like. Right? And if maybe that's, if you're married with kids, if that maybe means that you have a 30-minute chunk of time that you like lock yourself in, I don't know, like even your bathroom, and you work on your business for 30 minutes, and your husband is responsible for keeping the kids that are half his too alive, great, awesome. But he doesn't know what that looks like if you don't tell him that this matters, right? So I think that's really important that we take ownership straight out the gates. And that's something that I did without even like realizing that I did it, but it helped me get a lot of support from friends early on, because they were like, I don't really get this like weird beach body thing that Kacia's doing. And she's like always posting this shake, but she seems really into it. And then I would tell them, I would be like, it's so crazy. This mom, like, I just changed this person's life. Like, she's so excited. And I would share with them people that were important to me, like my parents, like my fiance, my friends that I lived with at the time. Like, I would share why this was exciting to me. And that helped me get a lot of buy-in and support. And I think if we create the environments around us to the best of our ability to help support us, especially if we're early on in this business or if we're pushing for a new goal, that can be the difference maker. And looking back, I didn't realize that I did this, but that was so helpful for me, because it helped me figure out how to navigate the logistical stuff, because I was creating an environment that really helped support me as much as I could. Some things you can't control. You can never control how someone else is going to act, but you can control your part in it. And if you can say with full conviction, like, I'm making a plan, I'm sticking to this plan, people know why this plan matters to me, I'm going to keep showing up, then you're doing the best that you can. And you're going to feel so confident about that, right? So I started in January of 2014. 6 months into my business, I went to Summit. How many of you guys have been to Summit? Hands up. Or you're going to Summit if you're a newer coach. Okay, cool. Yay. Oh, so many hands up. Awesome. So I went to Summit 6 months into my coaching business. I was a diamond rank coach, and I had hit Success Club every month. And what was cool about hitting Success Club every month is at that point, I'd also had a lot of no's, right? We talk about the highlights of I've hit Success Club every single month in my business, but hitting Success Club means that you've also had a lot of people that said no to you. And that is so important, because you need to learn the skill set of when someone says no, or when someone ghosts you, or when someone says yes. All three of those are extremely important. You have to have no's so that you can follow up and you can show people that you really care and you want to build a relationship with them, even if they say no, which often means not right now. You have to have people that ghost on you or that don't respond to you, because those are the people that you get to follow up with, and they just need to see you consistently show up so that they can decide if they like you and if they trust you, right? So what's cool when you think about that is every single time that you're inviting someone to join you as a challenger or to be a coach on your team, you're planting the seed that they could do this too. Okay. And that's something that I think is really interesting is sometimes we think of inviting with this like scary lens of like, like what if this person doesn't say yes to me? You don't want every single person to say yes to you. What if you went into it with that intention? You need some people to say no or not right now because you need your follow-ups. Like majority of my challenge pack sales come from a follow-up. Okay. So you need follow-ups, you need yeses because you need to, hit your goals each month. And you also need those creepers like so many of us were. How many of you guys said yes the very first time that you were asked to be a coach or a challenger? No one on this screen, on this first screen, nobody raised their hand, myself included, right? So, but we get all up in our head when someone says no or doesn't respond to us. But we were those creepers that had to watch. Isn't that funny when you think about it? So keep in mind what happens when you are hitting Success Club and why I think this is really important. Because in order for you to get to Success Club, yes, you hit your goal, you add new people into your business, all the leads, all that stuff is really cool. But it also shows you that you got 3 buckets of these people that you're learning how to manage and talk and build relationships with people at different stages of where they're at in their journey. Just because you're starting a boot camp or whatever you want to call it doesn't mean they're ready, but you get to learn the important business skill of, how do I communicate with someone who's actually not responding to me? Oh, well, I just know that I need to be consistent. How do I communicate with someone who says no to me, who now thinks that I'm never going to talk to them again? Oh, and I keep building a relationship with them. That's how I show that I'm different than other coaches in the network or other network marketers because you actually care about that person. So that gives you the opportunity to show how much you care. If they say yes, you don't get that opportunity because they go right into your group. So isn't that a cool way to think about it where you need all 3 of those buckets? So because I hit Success Club every single month and I had done that consistently, when I went to Summit, I was 6 months into my business. I was a diamond ring coach who had hit Success Club who really didn't understand the bigger picture of this. As I sat in the audience at Summit, I saw my upline coach and another coach in the network speak. And the other coach in the network I heard is named Christina Delgado, and she was a lawyer. My upline, her name is Brigitte Linford. She was a stay-at-home mom of 3, amazing person and story, but I didn't connect with her story at all. Remember, like I was working in the corporate world, unmarried, no kids, never had an idea of I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't ever envision that for my future. I always saw myself as like a VP of a company. So when I saw Christina talk about her story, and she was a lawyer and she had left the law practice to be a coach, I was like, whoa, okay. I was like, I could do this. I don't see anyone with my story on this stage. I'll just go build this business and then I'll go tell my story because no one's doing it. And I ended up speaking at Summit the year after that, okay? The point is, how would I have had that message be received to me that I could do this too, right? It was because I was so consistent and I had dealt with so many no's that I was like, I could do this. The confidence that comes from showing up consistently puts you in the position where when you hear a message, some of you are going to hear me right now because you've had a coach quit, because you've hit Success Club, because you've missed a goal, because you've been here for a while. You're going to hear me right now and you're going to be like, if this girl can do it, I can do it. Some of you are going to be at this stage where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm going to tell you, you absolutely can. But the difference is you've just got to figure out a way to manage the fear that comes in this business and keep showing up to build up that confidence, because you have to be in the position where when you hear a message, it will help propel you forward. That propelling forward for me was I sat in this audience as a diamond ring coach who had hit Success Club but didn't really see a bigger picture, who decided right then and there, why not me? If this woman can do it, I could do this too. I don't see my story represented. Looks like I want to go be the representation. Let's go. My boyfriend at the time, now fiance, and I moved from Seattle to New York City for him to go to NYU dental school. That's when I started working at Google. I busted my butt and worked my business in the morning, and after work was really freaking intentional, treated it like a business. And by the end of that year, so 14 months after I started this, I had surpassed my income, and it was an opportunity cost of why I needed to leave Google. As in it was one of those situations where it was like, shoot, I just need to go for this. And it wasn't ever intentional of I want to leave because I hate my job. It was, I want to leave because this could really be something super impactful and I want to run with it. But it was every single month that I showed up and doubted myself and had no's and had cancellations and had things that didn't work out and face planted and, like word vomited like 5-paragraph essays to people when I was trying to invite them to challenge groups and saw that that didn't work, that I took all of those mini failures, took the feedback, learned from it, and then kept going. So some of you right now just need to draw a line in the sand and say, let's freaking go. And some of you know in your gut that you're like, I wonder what would happen if I just turned the volume up a little. And I'll tell you what happens. You blow your damn mind of what's possible in this business. So you can do that. And so I think it's like, I realize I'm kind of like scrolling everywhere because I just get so passionate about this, because right now you have a choice to make. It doesn't have to be that this is going to be your full-time job, retire your husband, or that you have some crazy story. You don't have to have some crazy story. You just have to know who it is that you're most excited to serve, and you have to commit to something that you can measure so you can help yourself build confidence. I think Success Club is a really great benchmark because Beachbody has built in all of these cool incentives to hit Success Club, but it's a good benchmark because it measures how many people you're bringing in and supporting them with the best solution that you can give them to lay that foundation in your business. And then you just wipe the slate clean and you do it again. And you have this intention behind why you're doing it, because you know right now that you showing up is helping you build confidence, and that's serving you in other areas of your life. You've got this intention because you have this reason why you're showing up. You have this like heart for this business because you know who you're most excited to serve. Who I'm most excited to serve in this business is the woman who has all of the things on paper that she thinks that she's supposed to have between 25 and 35. She's done all these checklist things, but she's got this gut feeling that she wants quote unquote more, and she doesn't even know what more is. That has nothing to do with burpees. That has nothing to do with a fitness transformation. That has nothing to do with that, but that's the person that I want to serve. And guess what? A ton of women feel that way, and they often are really killer coaches, right? So who is it that you want to serve? Your story is enough. Draw a line in the sand and decide, am I doing this or am I saying that I'm doing this? Because if your goals and your effort don't match, you're always going to feel frustrated. But what's cool about this business is you can build your baseline and then you can increase the volume as you decide to change your goals or up your goals. So you can find a way that this business can fit into your life. A lot of the things that we do as coaches, we did before we were coaches, like if we were challengers first. Personal development, showing up, drinking your shake, doing your workout. Okay, now all you're doing is you're sharing about it on social media and you're inviting people. You've only added 2 more things as a coach, right? Of course, the amount that you do it increases based off of your goals in this business. But right now, just decide, like, I'm doing this. And your version of doing this might not look like the trajectory that I had in this. If that's not what your goals are, totally cool. But give yourself some dang goals so you can get the full experience of being here, right? And yes, you need to be here, because why are you here? Why is it that you saw that random coach that posted on social media about this and you decided, you know what, I'm going to do this thing too? Why are you on this call or listening to this recording? There's something in you that wants to serve people. I mean, obviously, if you don't want to help people, you should definitely quit, because you're going to suck as a coach. We all want to help people, but who do you want to help? Who is it that you feel called to help? Why is your story important? It doesn't have to be some crazy story, but it does matter why you started. It does matter why you were skeptical. If you were that naysayer, I want you to talk about that more, because people need real. They don't need like carefully curated content, pretending like it's rainbows, butterflies, and happy little unicorns coming out of your butt as a Beachbody coach every day. It's not. People cancel. They go on vacation and they like cancel their Shakeology, and then like your rank drops. You're like, what? You need Shakeology when you're on vacation more. How do you poop if you don't drink Shakeology on vacation? Like, literally, everyone's wondering. So the point is, know your story and know that it matters. And know that you showing up being you and honoring the fact that you're here. If you're going to be here anyways, why not make it count? Why not show up? And I'll share with you one thing, and then I want to make sure I answer questions. I can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. But I want to share with you guys something. Maybe you are the woman who's telling yourself, you know, like, I don't need this business. Like, I don't like need this business to work. Okay. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors for someone else who you might be connected to that needs this business more than you. Maybe you being a coach is actually not about you being a coach, but maybe it's about your degree of separation, that you're the liaison between someone whose marriage is hanging on by a thread, and you inviting her is the difference between if she gets divorced and her kids go back and forth every other weekend to parents, or she saves her marriage. Maybe you have a situation like we have on our team, where one of my coaches, her name is Brittany Crosby, at 27 years old, in the best shape of her life as an ex-CrossFitter. She then came into Beachbody, got in crazy great shape, built up tons of confidence, and then she was misdiagnosed 13 times as a 27-year-old when she was finally diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. Something that she wouldn't have had the confidence to tell 12 doctors that they were wrong at 27 years old, and something that she wouldn't have been in touch with her body and in the best physical shape that they could give her chemo that literally saved her life, right? I bet you her upline coach, who was scared as crap to invite her, is happy that she did, because she literally saved her life. Okay? So like, it's important what you do. And maybe you don't think that you need to, but why not honor the feeling that's in you that tells you that you're here for a reason? Something about this is making you excited enough that you're taking time to listen to me, like, chat about this business. It matters to you, so why not just show up, right? Why not learn what you can learn, and why not serve people while you're here? Because you've got an incredible opportunity in front of you. It has changed my world in ways that I could have never imagined. And honestly, if you would have told me when I first started that it was going to look like this, I would have said no, because I would have been so freaking scared that I couldn't handle it. But the person that you become in pursuit of the goal is what's going to help you, right? That's going to grow you. So you can jump on a call like this and you can just talk. You're going to be able to do that when you've done it so many times, right? The person that you're going to become is like the best part of this business. Oh, I love you guys. Okay, I want to answer questions. You guys inviting, we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Oh, I didn't even have the chat open. Okay. Yeah, give me, what do you guys want to talk about? I can go any direction here. Any questions? Paige, travel constipation. It's a real thing.
Okay, so I had one. I'll go first. So you were talking about at the beginning, it was getting you like really good at being you. This is gonna sound crazy, but like, what did you do to become super intentional about like figuring out who you are and how you want to portray that? And I don't even know if that's a question, but how'd you do that?
Totally. So I think what's really cool about this business is personal development being like a core component of like how we actually grow as people, but also how we can build connective tissue with our audience through sharing what we're learning. So I became very focused on figuring out who I was through literally, I'm obsessed with Enneagram. Do you guys know what Enneagram is? Yeah? Okay. If any of you guys listen to my podcast, I'm literally talking about this stuff all the time. But I got really focused on like what my love language was, like what my personality, like different personality tests, like Enneagram, stuff like that, where I just got really, really focused on just becoming the most me version of myself. And I would literally, now what I do on Instagram stories is I pretend like I'm FaceTiming with a friend. And I only talk to one person. I don't talk to the masses. And so I'm really trying to figure out, I mean, I don't really think about it consciously now, but back then I was like, how would I speak if I was actually just saying this out loud? And I would type my posts out and then I would read them. And I would say, like, my best friend, her name is Jackie. I would say, is this how I talk to Jackie? Or am I talking like a robot? So I just got actually really good at practicing my own voice. And so I would put words in, like, I'm a kind of a squeaky person where I'm like, oh, when I get really excited, I would put those like words into my actual posts. So when I say being me, I guess I mean it in two parts, where I got really intentional about figuring out who I was, like what I liked, what I didn't like, which sounds strange to do, but at 25, I actually really needed to do that too. And the other part was I decided I'm going to make my voice as me as I possibly can. So I'm only going to talk like I'm talking to a best friend. And instead of casting my net super wide, which is what I did at first, and I think that makes sense to do at first, where, you know, it's kind of like your first challengers are like random coworkers, or like, your significant other's coworkers, or like your random cousin, or like your random cousin's friend from work, like all these random connections. But after I got through kind of that really warm market, I started to think, like, who would I be most excited to help? What would she be scared about? And how would I talk to her if we were best friends? What would she be nervous about in starting this business? Like, what would make her drawn to this business? And instead of doing the thing where I like acted like it was all perfect, I knew that that wouldn't attract me into this business, because I would be skeptical of like, okay, this doesn't even seem like a real job. Are these people like selling like pull-up bars in their garages? Like, I don't get what they're doing. Why they're all obsessed with this like unicorn crack. Like, what is that? You know, I would be skeptical. So I talked to my social media audience as Kacia, talking to a best friend, which it sounds weird to say your name in third person, but you know what I mean? Where I was really intentional about that. So if you're struggling with posts or not knowing how to talk, think of your best friend or your sister or someone that you're really close with. And every time that you jump on Instagram stories, you're just talking to her, right? And every time that you type out a post, read it out loud real quick. Does it sound like how you would talk if you guys were like drinking wine sitting across from each other? And if it doesn't, then maybe just take a second and rewrite it so that it sounds like you and your voice comes through. Because I think that people are used to robotic posts and like what people think they quote unquote should be doing. So your competitive edge is your flaw, right? Your competitive edge is your typos, is your weird squeaks, is your weird quirks, like whatever, all that stuff that makes you you. That's what's going to make people connect with you even more. Because if they want a carbon copy like robot, they can just go order it somewhere. They're buying it from you because they connect with you in some way. If you're obsessed with Target or like cats, I don't know, whatever it is, like that's the stuff that really is going to connect with people. So that's how I got really intentional about it. And I think it's really powerful if you're just starting, kind of even depending on your stage in the business, because this constantly evolves, where you do pick like 5 different things that are important to you. One has to be the business. Like it has to. If you want to attract business builders and you don't talk about the business, you're going to really struggle. But I think what's really powerful when you're talking about the business is if you think about it through the lens of using outsider jargon rather than insider jargon, right? Sometimes we say things like, an example, I love my team call night. Okay, cool. But what is a team call, right? Were you worried about not having support when you joined this business? Like whenever we do team calls, still to this day, I've been doing team calls for, I don't even know how long, every single Wednesday night for however long. I'll do a video before I jump on and I'll say, it's crazy, but I used to be worried about not having support in this business. Now I'm jumping on this call, which is like a giant FaceTime party with a bunch of girls from all across the country that build this business together. Wow. And then I'll do an Instagram story. I'm like, today call. And that's what I post because it's educating them on what that is. I'm using outsider jargon. Everybody knows what a giant FaceTime party is. Maybe they don't know what a Zoom training call is. Just like we might think it's funny as coaches if we're like, had a rough day, give me all the yellows, like nom, nom, nom. Like we might think that's funny because we're like, yeah, carbs, like our life. But other people that don't know what yellows are, they're not included on the joke. So it makes it seem like they're outsiders and we're insiders. We want them to feel like they can be insiders. So every time that we can educate them, think about that. When you're on calls like this, like that's been really helpful for me where people, it's almost like I'm using my social media, Instagram stories as a sneak peek of what I'm doing, where I'm just explaining to them like why I do stuff and how I get people involved in my boot camps. So I do attract a lot of people that are interested in the business because of that, which is what I'm most passionate about is the business side of it. So taking every opportunity you can to take insider jargon and make it outsider language, talking to one like they're your best friends, thinking about what you would be nervous about, what you were nervous about, even taking time to like journal that out, I think can be really helpful when you're crafting social media because you know who you're talking to. And then every time you post, are you entertaining? Are you inspiring? Or are you educating? Right? Those are basically the 3 things you're rotating through. And you're having a couple different topic areas. I like to pick 5 that you rotate through. I love talking about relationships. I never talk about like macros or meal plans really, but I attract a lot of women that are 30 years old, that are newly married or thinking about having kids because they're in the same stage of life as me, right? So we connect off same stage of life, and everyone that's in the same stage of life, it's like they need fitness too, right? So like if you're obsessed with The Bachelor and you want to talk about The Bachelor, great. People that like The Bachelor also want to get in good shape. Like that's what's cool about Beachbodies. Everybody needs health and wellness in some regard. All right. I don't know. I just went on a tangent, but I don't know if that was helpful. But that's how I do social media, and it makes it really fun. And if it's fun, you're going to stay consistent with it, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have 1 hour to sit and crank out the work that's going to move your business forward the most. What do you do?
Invites first, invites and follow-ups for sure. I actually like doing a timer and setting it backwards. So for example, I do 22 minutes because I'm weird and I like to do weird times like that. So I'll do 22 minutes and the goal is to get at least 11 invites out. And I'm going to do it with a voice message invite. And how I'm going to do it, I'll tell you exactly what I say. So if I'm connected with someone on Instagram and I reply to their stories, I don't like small talk. I don't have time for small talk. I sometimes forget to text my own best friends back. So I assume that my girl that I want to connect with is like me, and she doesn't want to talk about our dog breeds. So I'm not talking about her dog. I'm not asking about, oh, you live in blah, blah, what's the weather? Like, I'm not talking about that stuff. That makes me want to take a fork and shove it in my eyeball. So what I'm doing is I'm going to her Instagram stories, and I'm replying to a story if she does Instagram stories, like with the, like, if you can't see me right now, I'm doing like that weird like face, you know, like the one where they're crying. If she posts something funny, or I'm replying to her stories, or I'm replying to her content, and then I'm just going to straight up voice message invite her. Hey girl, I know this is exactly what I would say. Hey girl, I know this is totally random. We're just connected on Instagram. You don't even actually know me, but you seem like someone that I'd be friends with in real life. I run these virtual boot camps with a bunch of busy women from all across the country. I always say busy because that's the main objection that I get is I'm too busy. Busy women from all across the country. We check into a private app group. We hold each other accountable, and we have access to this Netflix-style platform for streaming our workouts. We pump each other up and just kick ass. I do say ass because that's what I say. Ass together in this private app. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in at all? That's it. She responds either with like, I've been watching you. I'm kind of interested about that. That's a common response. Or, yeah, can you send me more information? Or she doesn't respond. And maybe she'll say no, but most people don't like flat out say no. And I've been a coach for 5.5 years, and I've never had someone say like, you should go under a rock and like die or something crazy, right? I've never had anyone say that. But if she asks for tell me more, or she says she's interested, I do the same thing for both of them. Yay, I validate her interest. So I'll say like, girl, I'm so excited that you're interested. I thought this would be up your alley. Even if she says, tell me more, to me, she's asking a question, so she's interested, right? Yay, so I validated her interest. Yay, girl, I'm so excited that you're interested. I thought this might be up your alley. And then as I say number 2, I'll ask her a question. Before I word vomit all over you, because this is how I would talk to a best friend, right? Before I word vomit over you, or before I give you so much information, can you tell me a little bit more about you? About your health and fitness goals. This is the question I say for everyone. Can you tell me what's working for you and what's not working as well as you would like? Make sure you get the and part. What's working for you and what's not working as well as you would like. And then I can fill you in more on the groups. Because our brains are like computers. We want to answer the questions that are given to us, right? And I haven't been on a first date in 11 years. I've been in an 11-year relationship. But I can imagine if I was on a first date and someone was like, tell me about yourself, I would be like, I could probably talk for 5 hours because I have so many random things I could tell you. You want to know about when I like ran with the bulls? Okay, cool. Like, I mean, I don't even know what I would say. So the fact that that's so overwhelming for people, if it's such an open-ended question, but if you say, tell me what's working and tell me what's not working, they're going to answer what's not working. And then you get a layup for how to explain the group. Because then all you do is you solve their pain point. They say, oh, I struggle with childcare. Oh, I used to do Orange Theory, but it's too expensive. Oh, I used to do this. Well, actually, I don't really have a routine. Like, oh, I'm kind of embarrassed about that. Awesome. Then we can feel felt found, make them feel heard, make them feel seen, explain the group through the lens of their pain point. What happens with coaches, and I used to do this, so like I'm not like above this in any ways. I just used to do this and it didn't work for me well, so I changed it up, where I used to just explain the entire group and why I thought that they would like it, but I literally had no idea why they would like it. I would just explain all the reasons why, like tons of reasons why they would like it. In reality, if you go straight to that question before you explain anything, then they're literally going to tell you what they're worried about, and then you can just explain it that way. So to answer your question, Paige, I would start with 22 minutes on a timer going backwards, where I would have the goal of getting at least 11 invites out via voice message. Then I would go back and see, I would probably spend the next like 10 minutes where I would just go back and see like where are the follow-ups that I need to follow up with. Then I would spend 15 minutes adding people to my network, as in like going to accounts that are non-fitness accounts that I like and following the followers of that account. I don't go off into hashtag land because like I'm an Enneagram 7, which means like I just go like, like I'll just go everywhere and it's just not productive. So I'll go to accounts and I'll just follow people. And then I would probably spend the last 15 minutes or the last 10 minutes crafting a post about one of my 5 topic areas, and then the last 5 minutes interacting with people that are in my feed. because I think that would cover all of the bases, but I would start with the invites, because the things that are actually going to move your business forward are invites and follow-ups, right? That type of content. And I still, to this day, I have a team of like about 3,700, and I still focus on my business is my priority. I need to hit my goals first. So I hit Success Club first before I'm making graphics, before I'm doing like all that extra fluffy stuff, because I know that your coaches care what you're doing, not what you're saying. So I want to make sure I lead by example that way. So that's been helpful. How do I track this? I used to work at Google, so I'm a big Google Drive, like Google Streak fan. So that's been my favorite tracker. But honestly, when I first started, I just used pen and paper, and I built a 6-figure business with pen and paper on like a notepad. So I'll answer that in 2 parts. 1, find what works and don't change it up, even if you hear about the coolest new thing that everyone's doing. If it works for you, stick with it. Don't change what's not broken. That's my number 1 advice. Number 2, don't let your lack of this system or this structure or this amount of followers or this transformation hold you back from starting, because I literally built a 6-figure business on pen and paper, right? And as it got bigger, I was like, oh, this is getting a little bit crazy, so I need to organize it a little bit better. And there was a need for more systems. But as your business evolves, your systems might evolve, but just don't do the thing where you're changing too many times. Like, give it a few months of being consistent with it so you can see if it works for you and if it fits into your life. Because I think the ultimate goal in a business that's built off of compound effort over time is to see what can I do sustainably that's your baseline, right? Where like, I know I'm going to show up for my business and I'm going to hit Success Club every month. I know I'm going to support my challengers. I'm going to be on my team calls. Like, there's certain things that I'm going to do every single month. And now that I've got that baseline, when I'm in a season of hustle, like we're pushing for 15-star or whatever it is, then I'm going to increase from my baseline. So I'll never get burnt out because I'm not going high-low. Right? If you drive your business, like you're driving a stick shift car up a hill and you're like a brand new driver, it's like, like that is so hard, right? If any of you guys have run, if you stop and you try running again, you just want to die. That's how it feels in your business. But if you can manage that baseline, where to Paige's question, maybe you don't have an hour because you have 2 like kids under 2 years old or something, and you have a full-time, like, I don't even know how moms are like keeping all these humans alive. If that's you, maybe it's just you have a weekly goal. That's before I put my head on my pillow on Sunday night, I filled up this list with 25 names of people that I've invited and 25 follow-ups on a separate page, and it's on pen and paper. And trust me, it's the consistency and the confidence that's built by you showing up consistently. That's internal confidence and external credibility. That's what's going to make people stick around and join you, is they're going to feel the confidence from you. And they're going to know that you're going to show up. So I think it's more important to have something that's a baseline that you can manage and then crank it up. That you can manage that baseline even when your in-laws are in town, even when you've got a crazy season at work, even when you're traveling. You can manage that like real basic baseline. And then when you're in a season where you want to crank it up, then you can crank up the volume from there. So the hour would change depending on the season, but I would always do the income producing things first. Invites, follow-ups, or the things, if you like get in your head about something, do that first. Like Brian Tracy, old school PD, like eat that frog, do that thing first. Because then you get a real big confidence deposit. If you're scared and you do it anyways, then you're like, I'm unstoppable. And you can do a lot in 20 minutes. Because sometimes the hour even intimidates people. I'm like, show me what you could do in 20 minutes. You will blow your mind, you know? Okay. Do I see more responsive with voice messages versus text? Pooh, like, out of this park difference. I don't even do text at all. I do all voice messages because people can see your excitement, right? And if you're awkward or your voice is shaking, and I'm not saying that you are, Katie, but if you feel like it's awkward, or if you've got like kids in the background, or you've got like, I used to live in downtown New York City, so sometimes there would be like sirens in the background and stuff. That is even better. Right? Remember what people are seeing. There's a ton of network marketing opportunities. There's a ton of like work anywhere with Wi-Fi. There's a ton of carefully curated content on Instagram. So the more real that you can be, the better. Like real gram. That's the real thing to do on Instagram. I think that's what I see the most like connection with, is people are like, I want to do this with you because you just seem like you're a human. Like, yes, I am. I'm a human. Okay, great. Let's do this together. So perfection, like you don't need to be perfect. I think if your voice is shaking, even if you acknowledge that you're nervous, like I think that's really powerful. So don't let fear hold you back. I think that'll actually serve you. Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah. Hi, Meg.
Hi. I've chatted with you before and I love you dearly. But my question is when you're looking for people to invite, the problem that I'm running into is my market is teachers. Teachers are very like up in arms about like getting cold messages. I've been yelled at multiple times via that. So how do I, one, get over that? Two, like, do I still cold message people? Am I looking at people that are going into my stories? Like, who am I going for?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna answer this in 3 parts. One, in this business, I think basically any question that we can ask can result in either find more people or ask better questions. So Meg, with your question, and especially I'm gonna go a little podcasty here, but I know you can hang with that, is ask yourself a question that's actually going to serve you. Because right now, your brain is looking for evidence to prove that teachers are skeptical, that teachers are reserved, teachers are going to react this way. You maybe have had that happen a couple of times, or maybe that was your experience as a teacher, but not all teachers think that way, nor are only teachers in your market, right? So that's one thing. The story of like who are teachers and who's my market, it's probably bigger than you think, and it's not all people that are going to feel like a cold message is weird. Okay, so that's one thing. That story is not serving you right there. Number 2, the people that are watching your Instagram stories, 100%, everyone that watches your Instagram stories, those are the first people to go to, because they're going through that meter of know to like to trust, right? First, they have to know what you guys are doing, what we're all doing, not you guys, all of us. Then they determine if they like you or vibe with you. That one you can't control. I am so not for some people. I have way too much energy for some people. Totally cool. They unfollow me for a reason, right? And then trust, that part you can't control either, because some people are ready to start right now. Some people need to see you show up really consistently for a long period of time before you're credible in their eyes. Right? So that know, like, trust meter, that's built faster when you do use Instagram stories and when your message is congruent from your Instagram story to your Instagram post to how you talk in your DMs. So back to Katie's question of voice message versus text, think about how much quicker trust is built. If I go on Instagram stories, they see me talking, I post content that connects with them, and when we connect on Instagram, like in the DMs, I'm voice messaging them. That congruency triangle of my posts, my stories, and the private message, it's the same. So the trust is built so much faster, exponentially faster. So of who you invite, Meg, or anyone, I would say number 1 is Instagram stories. Everybody that's watching your Instagram stories, because they already know what you're doing. Number 2, the people that interact with your posts. So what I personally do is I'll go back to a post from like 2 weeks ago, and I would look through the people that interacted with that post, and anyone that's interacting with my post is going to get reached out to. And if you feel like you don't have people in your market, remember, people's lives change, situations change, people have babies, people decide that they want to start a business like this, whatever, everything, like people's lives change constantly. So just because it's a no doesn't mean it's not ever going to be a yes. And on top of that, it's going to be about finding more people too. So if you find like you have asked everyone that's watched your Instagram stories, everyone that interacts with your posts, then part of Paige's question of what would you do in an hour, you're intentional as a CEO of your business where you're like, hey, I know that I've asked everyone that watches my Instagram stories and I've asked everyone that interacts with my posts. That means I need to be really dang intentional about finding more people to add to my network. So I'm going to block out a chunk of time to do that. I think posts that are shareable content, like quotes and stuff like that, is really helpful. I think that having something where you can tag other people, that stuff is really helpful too. But consistency of content builds credibility. And I think that makes people trust you more. I'm probably so behind, but what is her podcast? Oh, thank you so much, Kendall. Sweet of you. It's called Empower Her, and it's about helping women take purpose-driven action. It's not geared towards Beachbody coaches, but a lot of it is around like building confidence and stuff. Yay! Okay. Last question, last burning question. Anyone? No? I'll just stare at everyone. Silence doesn't make me feel awkward. Nope.
I will ask one, and you kind of addressed it a little bit with Megan's question at the beginning of like getting in tune with yourself. But how did you get in tune with who you wanted to serve? Like, do you feel like it's a reflection of who you are? Because I feel like that's where I'm trying to dial in, is sometimes I feel like I'm so broad. So any tips on that?
Yeah. So the question that I asked myself was, if someone slid into your DMs right now, this is what all of you guys I think would be really powerful to answer this question. If someone slid into your DMs and they were like, hey, Emily, Katie, Kristen, Jessica, Samantha, Erin, I want to build a business and I want to like go gung-ho on this business. Like I'm ready to rock and I want to take this thing to the top. Like what a great message. And they actually back it up. Like, ooh, give me like 20 of those. But who is that person? Like when you visualize it, like what would her fears be? Like who would you actually just be really excited to get to connect with? And like, think about this, like there's trips involved with this business. There's Zoom calls, there's team calls, there's personal growth, there's like growing together. Who is that person that you would be so excited to serve? Like you don't have to be leaps ahead of her, maybe a couple steps ahead of her, but not leaps ahead of her. It's someone that you want to be friends with, someone that you could do this side by side with, where you can learn and grow together. For me, I wanted it to be the person that really connected with the initial stage that I was at in Beachbody, where she had these things on paper. I knew about how much income she was making. I knew the type of stores that she would shop at because they were similar to me. And I felt like I'm uniquely qualified to help serve her because I know her. So I know what she's worried about. I know what she's skeptical about because it's literally all the same things that I was skeptical about. What changes is when you go through different seasons of life. So my coaches that have had kids since becoming coaches, their passion for like postpartum moms or whatever it may be through different like trials in their life, that passion might change. So it might not be your original avatar. It's who right now, today, on a Monday night, if anyone slid into your DMs, what is she scared about? What is she excited about? What's her personality like? Where does she shop? Like really just think about her, name her. Like that is who you're serving. And every single post, you're only talking to her. And it will make this business so fun. And you will start to attract people that you're like I have a Google recruiter that's like one of my newest like top diamond building coaches. And literally we're the same Enneagram type. She's about to get married. Like, I mean, all of these similarities. And I'm like, you're like an alien. Like, this is so weird. You're literally me like 2 years ago. It's so crazy. So I think it's crazy what you can actually come up with when you just start to target at one person. And I think that's really impactful. But if you're brand new, do not worry about that. Talk to everyone. Talk to your cousins, talk to your neighbors, talk to your husbands, like coworkers, everybody, because you need to build confidence too. And sometimes starting with your warm market helps build confidence. So the social media stuff, you'll figure it out. I hit Million Club with 4,000 followers on Instagram. You can do it too, okay? So don't worry about all the follower stuff. Like, well, who cares about that? Okay. I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm trying to count how many notes I took. It's like 10 pages of notes. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. Thank you for your time, for just pouring into us and making us feel so special. Like you just like, oh.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you. If I can ever help, like I'm always here to support you. I've done random like videos on YouTube and in the Champions page and stuff, but really like, you know what to do. You're here for a reason. You're on a team with massive amounts of resources and people that are super excited. Like enthusiasm is contagious. So if you feel lit up, like go tell one of your friends on the team and like get each other pumped up and like send each other gifts and squirrel hard, really. Because you can do anything with this business. And I'm so excited for you. And I'm just honored to be in this Beachbody family with you. So thank you again. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.